The time is 4:30 p.m. The Pelican Rapids City Council meeting of 26 November 2024 is called to order. I'd ask those in our council chambers, if you have not signed in on the clipboard by the back door, if you'd please do so before you leave this evening. And also everyone, please put their phones on vibrate. Roll call of members. Danielle?
Councilmember Steve Strand.
Here.
Councilmember Kevin Ballard.
Here.
Councilmember Kurt Markgraf.
Here.
And Councilmember Steve Foster.
Here.
And Mayor Brent Frazier.
Here. I want to welcome each and every one of you here in our council chambers, those also joining us by Zoom. Remember, our city council meetings are on the Pelican Rapids YouTube channel and also on channel 14 on Wednesday evening. A few announcements for the next couple weeks. This Thursday, November 28th, Thanksgiving Day, city offices are closed, as well as the liquor store and the library. On Friday, November 29th, the lighting of Peteyville at 5:30 p.m., followed by the lighted horse parade at 6:30 p.m. There's many holiday activities scheduled for the next couple weeks. If you're not sure, check the Pelican Rapids Press for the schedule. Saturday, December 7th, an important date in our nation's history, Pearl Harbor Day. Our next city council meeting is scheduled for December 10th at 4:30 p.m. here in the city council chambers, but we ask you to be here at 3:30 p.m. because there's going to be coffee and cupcakes for outgoing council members Foster and Ballard. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? We'll keep the agenda going fast tonight because girls basketball game versus Staples Motley was moved up an hour, which starts at 6:30 this evening. If we'd all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Anyone here for citizens' comments that is not on the agenda? Anyone for citizens' comments? Seeing none. Move on to item number 3, additions, deletions to the agenda. I have two additions under item number 6. We have 6A, which is 400 North Broadway. 6A is 400 North Broadway, which is the old water tower site. And 6B is Northwest Development Discussion. Northwest Development Discussion. Any other additions or deletions? Any other additions or deletions?
Move to approve with the 2 additions. Second.
Motion second. Discussion. 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 4 is approval of consent agenda, which I will read. Item number 4A is approval of council minutes from November 12th, 2024. 4B is approval of accounts payable listing. 4C1 is utility report from October, which is in the packet, and 4C2 is liquor store report. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Motion second. Discussion? 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Let's jump down to item number 7, Peteyville storage request. We have the founder of Peteyville with us this evening, Doug Bergerman. Coach?
Hey, thanks for moving me up. I have supervision to do here in a little bit and a couple more things to add to Peteyville. We are almost up and ready to roll. What I'm here for tonight is growing pains, really, is what it kind of comes down to. We've really expanded a lot. We've picked up a lot of items that just Peteyville itself has purchased. Last year, we were in 2 of the school sheds, Jim Christensen's garage and my garage, with the items, and we want to now consolidate them. In talking with Lance, I was wondering how much of the money that was allocated last year did we spend, and if the city council would be willing to put a little bit more money into the infrastructure, and the infrastructure is a unit. If you've seen the football field with the semi that got transformed into a booth for our announcing and stuff like that, and then underneath it is also a storage unit. Trevor Steves was able to find one for, with shipping, around $3,700. And so what I'm asking, I think maybe Lance can give you a little bit more information where we're at with the money spent so far.
So with the total approved amount that we've approved through the last year or more for electrical outlets in Peterson Park, on both sides there, and on the suspension bridge and all that. So the approved money that we've already, or the money that we've already approved was $8,988, so roughly $9,000. What we've actually had to pay, because there was some reduction in some of the outlets on the suspension bridge and things like that, so what we've actually had to spend was around that $6,600. So that's a difference of about $2,400 that we've saved, basically, from what was already approved. So I think Mr. Brueggemann is asking for an additional $3,700.
Or 1,300?
Well,
Yeah.
be a difference of about, increasing that amount of about $1,300, that total amount.
Okay.
And then we also talked about needing to look into a variance fee for, Trevor talked with Brian already about putting the storage unit up by the salt area up on the north side there.
So it's a
And-
shipping container is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So
Right, right.
we passed that ordinance. They're not allowed in residential, but they're allowed in commercial if you get a special use permit for it, so.
Those are all lockable units?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council? So we're looking at $1,300 request.
Where would the money come from?
Well, everything that's been approved has been liquor store funds up to this point, so. It probably would be cleaner, I mean, if you guys are interested, to actually approve the $3,700 for the shipping container. That was just all kind of some reference of what has been approved in the past and what we actually spent, so.
Okay.
And Lance, you're okay with that? Financial here?
Fine, we have there's funds in the liquor store funds, if that's what you guys are willing to spend it on. I mean, it's a good community project, but, I guess I would say if you're interested in it, then we'd probably leave it up to like Peteyville or whatever, so Peteyville would actually own the shipping container,
Yeah.
Okay.
and you'd maintain it and keep
Yep.
it in good shape.
Yep.
And then have them, if you're interested, have them just apply for the special use permit then and come up with those funds on their own. The there's a $200 fee for applying for the special use permit, and then, so they'd go through that process, just like anybody else then.
And move to approve. I'll second.
Motion second. Discussion? Discussion?
Did you look at any other storage
Yeah,
things?
Trevor came across this, and he's been in the process of looking at storage unit types of things. And normally, something like this, he said, was a $5,000 deal. And so I kind of left it up to, that's kind of his role with Peteyville, is he's the mover and finding of that kind of stuff. And I think based on his experience and what he's paid in the past for the containers, he felt this was a really good deal.
Any more discussion?
So we approved 3,700 for the purchase of the trailer, or the container, but so they have a budget. I mean, do they have a budget, or there's funds that we've already donated, but, so now they have $5,000 sitting around? I mean,
Money we didn't spend.
right, but, so we just, I'm not,
So that, all
walk me
that
through that whole
approved,
process.
all that approved money was just stuff that we've spent on our stuff, basically putting in the electrical infrastructure for the Peteyville, on the suspension bridge by those lights, on the other side by Pelican Pete. Because Mr. Brueggemann came, I believe, 2 different times asking for,
So how is that, how have the funds been dispersed in the past? I mean, just if they have an invoice, they just bring the invoice up for the whatever?
the electricians just billing the city directly on that.
I got you. All right.
Yeah, so we're not expecting to, we used the money and kind of saved on it because we decided on
Right.
certain things. We don't expect anything more from what you already approved. We're just now, whatever, we brought up that just to show that we're trying to be responsible and trying to, get the best
And we appreciate
deals
that.
that we can.
Any more discussion?
Trying to figure out.
Well, I've got, so Peteyville's gonna buy the shipping container, you're just expecting $3,700 from the city to Peteyville then?
Yeah, we could do it either way. We could have the shipping container be invoiced to the city. Whatever works easiest is always the shipping
The question is
container.
what the best way to do
Or-
it is.
Yeah, and I think if Peteyville's gonna own it, our best bet is just to write you a check.
Okay.
Peteyville a check.
Yeah, and we another thing that we did in the process of this is I went to the chamber, and Peteyville is now kind of under their umbrella, so that we kind of operate as a separate entity, but so they just give us more options as far as people donating stuff and things like that, so that we can operate a little bit smoother.
That 3,700, that's placed, I mean, that's
Brought up,
Dropping it
yep,
off
yep.
out there.
So that includes the shipping, yeah.
Well, the lighting has been a great asset for Pelican Rapids, the parks, bringing people to Pelican. We want to protect
Oh,
it.
Lou said his Facebook post on Peteyville had over 22,000 hits. And so it's going to be a little cold, so it'll be interesting, but there's a lot of buzz. And I just really feel like Peteyville the mission is to bring joy, but a secondary mission is to bring livelihood to, Pelican Rapids.
Yeah,
And
we appreciate
like
that.
just go through Lana, Grefsrud. We try to do everything that we can with local electricians, local signage and all that kind of stuff, just to keep generating business in the area of Pelican.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
All right, really appreciate it, and, enjoy
Thanks
the
for all you
lights
do.
as it
And your
clicks
and
on
your
on Friday.
volunteers.
Yeah, you bet, thank you.
Let's jump up to item number 6. We have 2024 CETA year in review. Economic Development Director Jordan Grossman's here. And she's going to talk about the year in review and also the 2 different bullet points, or item 6A and 6B. Jordan?
How's it going? Just gonna move this so I can see. I apologize for not having this in your packet. I didn't send it to city staff until right before they left on Friday. So I just wanted to give you an update on CETA's presence in Pelican Rapids over 2024. And I have paper copies of this if you want them. Next slide, please, Lance. Next slide. I was handed a list of objectives and a wish list essentially from the city when I started, and one of them was revitalizing your EDA and EDC in town. I just wanted to give an update that we have done that. I can go into these in further detail if you'd like. But your EDC is up and running. Once a month they have meetings, and they've put out more money in 2024 than I believe they have in 5 to 10 years. So all of the mini grants that came around through road construction were EDC funds funneled through the city. That's the way the money needs to go from the EDC, but it was all EDC funds, not EDA. So it was a great way for them to show support to businesses, and they're looking at some new projects in town to keep things going. In addition, your EDC has 2 programs available to businesses in town. One is a commercial rehab program, which can help update facade on businesses downtown. And another is a small enterprise startup loan fund, which is essentially gap financing. If a bank isn't able to cover a whole project, they can come in with a really competitive interest rate and help fund a new business in town. Your EDA is now made up of, instead of all city council members, we have some inclusion with business owners in town. We meet once a month, and our goal is to support and assist retention, revitalization, and expansion and attraction of businesses and homeowners in Pelican Rapids. And we have a list of programs available that weren't available last year. So we've moved forward with the EDA as well. Any questions? I'm going quick.
Do you have anybody that's doing rehab or small enterprise startup?
Through the loan fund?
Yeah.
We've had one application with the EDC, and they're working through paperwork with West Central Initiative. So, better than nothing.
Okay.
Next slide. Goal for the city is a community center. These come in lots of different versions. There's very large community centers, and there's very small community centers in rural Minnesota. A project that has come about is the Bridge Center, which I would like to say is going to fulfill your community center goals as a multi-use building. So I am sitting on the board for the Bridge Center and am very happy to do so. We're in the process of hiring a project manager with some funds, grant funds received. Job opening is available, and we're looking at applications as they come in. A project manager will be in charge of a capital campaign and fundraising for their position, as well as building needs. As of right now, small grants and fundraising efforts without a project manager have received over $100,000. So there's a lot of community buy-in and city contribution for the project as well. A very large goal for the city was to receive the Small Cities Development Program grant, which we were awarded in the dollar amount of $948,750 through the 2024 cycle. This will be broken down between commercial rehab projects and owner-occupied residential projects. There were surveys passed around last spring, which essentially are a pre-application for people who have interest in the program. Last fall, this upcoming spring, Otter Tail County HRA will reach out to those parties and more to get projects rolling through the program. So, any questions on that one? Great. Housing development is a slow process, but we are moving forward. Local realtor Mike Carlson has stepped up and created an LLC called Develop Pelican, and is finding single properties within town that are developable. I'm working with the planning commission to retain that property under his LLC. He's absorbing the cost of prep and fill, and then building twin homes, which is something that's been identified in our updated housing study as a need within the community, whether it be somebody trying to age within city limits and maybe move out of their larger home, or somebody who's looking for a more affordable option to live in town with their family. Here's a picture of Mike's build down by Larry's, and he has a purchase agreement on another property in the southeast of town, and he's building right over here by City Hall. So he plans to continue that, and the EDA plans to support him. Any questions? Great.
Jordan, he has 3 departments.
Yes. Yep.
Could you repeat the question so the people on TV
She
can hear?
asked if how many development projects he has underway in Pelican, and it would be 3, depending on wetland credits on the southeast.
Thank you.
We have homeownership incentives, which were already here before I came. Possibly not advertised the best, so it's something that I like to tell people about when I hear them come into the lobby and change properties over into their name, as well as all of the admin staff up front know about these incentives and are offering them as people come in to switch over utilities. It seems like the largest, the most interesting one to people right now, it would be for utilities. But the housing property tax refund is one I hope is utilized more in the future for new development of single family or twin homes. Questions? Great. We have a list of new business incentives. This is new this year, to try to attract more business into Pelican instead of the surrounding areas. So this is a list of things that a business owner or entrepreneur could apply for through the EDA with your final approval. There's just some stats on our digital engagements. Trying to advertise Pelican Rapids as a place to live, a place to play, and a place to spend time in. I've been working on your Facebook page along with Danielle. Your audience is definitely growing, and we're getting a lot more engagements on posts than a year ago. So it's your Facebook page is doing very well. The website is new. I helped with the conversion of the website, which was much needed. It's a great website now. We're working on trying to grow local subscribers. That's something we're continuing to do. I'm continuing to update. So is Lance, so is Danielle, so are admin staff. Updating that frequently. And then just I wanted to let you know that I've received plenty comments from community members, organizations about the new website, and everybody's really happy with it. So. This is a new program that we started this year with a grant from Ottertail County for $25,000, and we used $25,000 of EDA funds. Essentially, this is a $50,000 pool of funds available for business owners or building owners downtown to update the exterior of their building, signage, roofing. The masons used this program. And it's up to $5,000, one application per year. Interior projects could be approved on a case-by-case basis. Here's a list of the grants this year that you've successfully been awarded. Number 8 says pending, but I just got notification last week that we were awarded that $10,000. So in total, $1,042, oh, I can't even say it, 1,000, Lance.
Talking 1 million.
$1,042,250. Thank you. And I just wanted to put on the bottom so you can see the cost comparison with what you're paying for a CETA contract in town and still what you're able to collect from grants. Did you have any questions on that one? Okay, I think. How far am I? Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, there's your year in review.
Nice
Hey.
job.
Yeah. Appreciate your work.
Okay, thank you.
Questions?
On the website, what's a subscriber?
A resident, anybody, I'd love to see it be residents, can subscribe to news updates on the website. So when I put on something new about Peteyville, or Lance puts on something, or Danielle does about drinking water in town, anytime something's posted, a resident or anybody who's subscribed will get a notice via email, text, or both if they want, instead of just waiting to see it organically.
How much is that?
Free. They just have to sign up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We just have to get people to sign up, and tell them it's worthwhile, which is always the hard part. Take 5 seconds to sign up really quick, but we'll get there.
I think this has been asked before. Do we have an counter on our website, how many hits we get?
There is a way, I think we can contact Town Web to know, isn't there?
I think that they could give us some insight as far as page views, but to be honest with you, I think a lot of that is the three of us adding things to pages and still building the new website. They have a heat map, which we could ask for, which shows you when somebody's on the website where they're clicking, which is kind of cool. So I can ask for that information. But again, just because it's a new website, I feel like it might be it might not be correct because we're on there a lot updating things right now.
Any other questions for Jordan?
I got one more. So you set this bar, you got 1 million, over 1 million in grants now, so in 2025, we're expecting a little more than that, correct?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
we'll sure try. There's some new ones coming out early spring, so. Okay.
Well, thank you. Do you want to move on to 400 North Broadway?
Are you pulling anything up for that?
Yeah, I will. I
Okay.
gotta get to the screen share here, so.
I attended the planning commission via phone meeting yesterday via phone just to give my insight on a city property. Lance will pull it up here. Right across the highway. This was what?
This is the old water tower site. It's right across the road here.
Which is currently zoned commercial, which I think is great. I also think it's primetime commercial real estate that could be interesting to somebody who wanted to do like a mixed-use building. So maybe commercial on the main level and residential on a second level. I can't promise that that is what would happen with it, but I think that it would be wise, if you're interested, to put this on the market. Market rate, market value for this is $10,100. List it for that and negotiate with somebody as they're interested in the property.
Lance, what is the size of that lot? You know that?
I can do it here real quick.
Oh, that's okay. I was just curious.
It's pretty
Half an
easy.
acre, wasn't it?
It was almost a half an acre, but it's, that's in the way.
Do you have anybody that's interested in it now?
I have talked to somebody who's built a mixed-use building in a different community close to us who has expressed interest in something similar in Pelican, but just conversation.
Okay.
130 deep by 145 long.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe list it for market rate, 10,100, and then if somebody's interested, figure out if that's what they want to pay for it, or it sounds like maybe we would, the planning commission said we would list it as is, so with that structure still on there, and go from there.
That structure hooked up to anything?
What?
Completely offline now, and it's used for nothing. The power got turned off here too, so there's nothing, it's not needed for anything.
Is there a water shut off to that property?
So they figured, in this project, when they were digging up there, they figured out where all the pipes are and what's needed and what's not. So there is still a couple of water shut-offs. There's actually a water main coming through on, well, this is technically still
Right.
Fourth
Right.
Avenue, so there's a water main that going through here, but everything was found now, and the foundation, of the old water tower was dug out now this summer as well, so, I mean, this lot is ready to go now. And the siren that used to be here, or that is still there, but does not work, we're getting
Yeah.
a new one up by the water plant, so everything, there's nothing needed with this lot anymore for the city.
It has sewer service line?
That's a good question. I'm sure they installed the water and sewer in the project here, but I'd have to double check that. But every lot, they were gonna put in a water sewer service, so.
Did they go quite that far, though?
Yeah,
They
see,
didn't
they're
go
right
all
up
the
to
way
here,
yeah.
so if they
It wouldn't
didn't, we
fit.
could certainly get
Yeah,
it in.
wouldn't be too late, is what I'm
No,
saying.
they could do it next year, yeah,
Yeah.
good point. We should check on that, Lance. and-
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Were you looking for some action on that, or?
This would
just-
be my only motion.
Huh?
Yes, a motion to list this for sale.
Yeah.
I make a motion to sell it, or find if there's interest for it at the very least.
Second.
Motion second, discussion? Discussion?
You'll advertise then this at market rate through what?
Where will I advertise? Or are you asking the timeline?
No, what, are you gonna put it in newspapers? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, yep, newspaper publication, online outlets, word of mouth, tell the chamber, tell surrounding community newspapers, probably spend some advertising money, which we have.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. The next item, 6B, is Northwest Development discussion.
The state of Minnesota's, many entities with the state of Minnesota have been promising infrastructure grant dollars for quite some time now, about a year. These programs are actually on the verge of being complete and available as early as next spring. The northwest side of town, the 75-ish acres of city land, was also on the wish list for CETA to do for residential development. I just wanted to give you an update in order to be on track to have a competitive application for infrastructure grant dollars next spring. We need to get a project going. So we are currently using some planning dollars to look at utility extension into here. Whether that be twin homes, single family or multifamily units, this is where we're spending some planning dollars right now. It'd be nice to have numbers and possible parcels as soon as possible, so we can get a project in line and have a competitive application.
Lance, do we have parcel numbers on that land? We sold that to Herzog, and we got it back.
We own these, yeah, this lot here. These two, everything here is city-owned.
Yeah, but it has its own,
It's all been.
it has a legal description?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just an update for you that we're investigating this area right now, and based on what we get back for costs and possibilities, this is what we'll use as far as new housing development for a grant application next spring.
So you're looking at the west of the Herzog Apartments, not the
Correct.
north of the Colony Apartments?
Right, looks like some land is pretty low over there, so it would be more expensive to extend off of the Colony Apartments than the top.
We mentioned it to Bob, the city engineer, and this area down here is pretty low. Questionable whether it's wetland or not, but at the very least, we'd probably have to put in a lift station there, which increases the cost significantly, so that's why he kind of suggested trying up here first.
It's very close to West Central Turkeys, within a walkable distance, which would really help with the grant application as well, so.
Would Seventh, is that Seventh Avenue? Would that just be stubbed there where, where it is, or would it be run through the next parcel? Would we have to extend Seventh?
Right.
Yes.
Go as far as the plan, I mean, kind of build as we go, right? It's not gonna be one huge.
No, there will
development
be
at
no
first.
no housing development will be a big project. There will be phases. So maybe extend as somebody goes, building wise. The county has $100,000 of infrastructure extension that we can take advantage of if we can come up with 100. And then we can use the county's 100 on top of a local 100 as a match for a state program. It's not gonna be enough, but I'm working on that part of it. So there's money. We'll just get creative.
For the first stage, it would basically be this section right here that you'd focus on, right?
Yeah.
So.
It's just a point of discussion tonight?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions for Jordan?
Awesome.
Okay, keep us informed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 8, Pelican Rapids Police Department. We have Chief Todd Quaintance with us this evening. He has 2 items which are in your packet. Item A is Axton Taser purchase, and item 8B is approved grant with county. Chief?
Mr. Mayor, Council, both are in your packet. Let's start with the Taser quote. I'll give you a little background on what we've got going on with tasers. So the tasers that the department is carrying right now is the X26. It's a taser that is, I think, 4 generations old. The Taser the X26 went out of production in 2014. In 23, I found this out. I knew that it had gone out of production, and just like anything else, they talk about stop having supplies and everything for it. We ran into an issue here in the last few months where we can't, in 2023, they stopped making specific components. Well, one of those components we needed for one of our existing tasers. Can't find them anywhere. There were vendors out there that were still selling them after they had stopped being produced. Well, they're almost impossible to find now. So I was even on the phone with Taser or Axon trying to get, there's got to be some in your warehouse somewhere, and they're like, we don't have any. So it started us down this whole conversation of needing to change what we have. And like I say, I know that when Jeff and the city ended up getting the X26s that we currently have, they were already out of production. They were refurbished at that point. I don't know that anybody anticipated that the products that we need, the batteries, the air cartridges, things like that, would stop being made. The batteries are the component that we most importantly need right now, that are not available. The air cartridges, which is the part that shoots the probes out, those are still available, but those will stop being available sometime between the end of this year and the end of '25, because those are only available now because they are part of another TASER that is still in existence, and TASER is saying we aren't going to have that TASER be available anymore. So anyhow, air cartridge is no longer going to be available. So really at that point, our equipment will be completely obsolete. So you have a quote. TASER has gone to a new model. Back when I became a TASER instructor in the early 2000s, you would buy your device, and then as you needed batteries, air cartridges, you would just buy them as you needed them. TASER's gone to a model now where essentially you pay for your product over a 5-year period. During that 5-year period, they provide all training cartridges. They provide all cartridges that are deployed in use, and they'll replace batteries as needed. And actually, this quote actually involves them replacing all of the, we're going to refer to them as handles now, all of the handles once during that 5-year period, okay? They just send you out new ones, you send back the old ones, and basically you're partway through getting all new ones in case you have problems. It's a 5-year warranty, but again, so it's a 5-year process where you pay for them, so the price of them gets shared over that 5-year period. If you look on the second page of the quote, it kind of breaks it down a little bit on what the cost would be for year one of the contract, the 5 years, is it would be that $2171.68. Okay, my plan right now for next year, if the city council goes with this, since this was not part of the budget, need to find out where to come up with the money at. $1,200 of it would come out of the one-time money that we still have some left over. The other $1,000 would come off of my training budget. So part of the expense of the tasers now is that built-in cost of training. So that's how I'm justifying $1,000 of it coming from training. And like I say, the other $1,200 would come out of that one-time money. So essentially it has a zero impact on the budget. I don't know if, I mean, as far as it's not anything that I'm asking you to come up with money for. So, and then in the following years, year 2, 3, 4, and 5, the monies would come from capital. And then years, and it doesn't get into this in the quote, but years 6 through 10, having conversation with TASER, Axon. Realistically, these devices should be good for 10 years. So in that year 6 through 10, I would just have to, or we would just have to go out and purchase whatever air cartridges we use for training purposes. So that's kind of the proposal here. I don't know if that's makes sense. It's clear as mud.
Questions for the chief?
The other option is we move away from tasers.
Is that the trend? Or is
No,
it-
not at all. I'm just saying, we have one of the two, no, absolutely not. I mean, people are embracing the new taser, the X10. There are definitely some positives to it. If you're at all familiar with tasers, right now, the ones that we have, and up until the newest taser that just came out in 23, there's 2 probes that shoot out of it, and if, as we know with electricity, you need both probes to make contact to complete the circuit. The new ones, there's 10 individual probes that I can, every time I pull the trigger on it, a probe deploys. So in order to have a completed circuit, I need to shoot at you twice with it. If, unlike the other ones where if I shot and one probe hit you and one missed, that whole thing, that whole air cartridge is junk. I pull out another air cartridge and I deploy again, hoping to get 2 into you. With the new technology, like I say, there's 10 individuals. I can shoot 3 or 4 times at you, and as soon as I get 2 that are in you, I've got a completed circuit. So, yeah.
Cass County, they're already deployed in Cass County.
The Taser 10?
Yep. I was just handling one last week.
Okay.
Pretty impressive, kind of scary.
I'm actually, and here's where we're also saving, to be honest with you, we're saving money on this whole quote, because I reminded the Taser rep that I am actually a Taser 10 instructor. Prior to leaving Battle Lake, Taser had sent me to the Taser 10 instructor course there. So we're saving about $2,500 because I'm a Taser instructor. I'm a Taser 10 instructor, so.
So in 2025, you're looking at $2,171?
Yep. Again, 1,000 will come off of my training line, and the other 1,171.68 cents will come off of the one-time money.
Okay. Council?
I moved to upgrade, just like everything needs upgrading. Sounds like Chief did his homework on
Yeah.
lessening the blow to the budget. I think moving away from tasers is, I haven't heard of anybody doing that ever. Not a good idea.
We have a motion, is there a second? Motion second. Discussion?
How
Discussion?
many units are we talking about?
So that is going to be a change in order to make this financially something that we can sustain here, is we are going to go away from a model where each officer is assigned a taser. We will, again, they refer to them as handles now. We will have the handles here in the office. The officer will, when they come on duty, will have to, just like they do for the body cams, they will have to grab one. There's a barcode thing on the bottom of it. They can take the smartphone, they log in that it's them that's carrying it. These are way smarter devices than what they once were. It records every time I pull the trigger. It'll actually record every time I pull it out of the holster. So it's very much a tool that we can go with and just have 3 here, 3 handles, and there's a cost. I didn't get into it's actually like a 10-page quote. I only gave you the 2 pages because it gets messy. We're paying for that number pays for 3 handles, and then it pays for the certification for 4 other officers. So we'll have 7 officers certified to carry it. So. And just so you, go ahead.
How big are they? Like, what do we?
It's actually a little bigger than the ones that we've been carrying. They're a little bit bulkier. It's probably similar in size to a handgun still. I will tell you, just in case anybody's wondering, why are the numbers different from year 1 to years 2, 3, 4, and 5? I had them shift some of the expense, again, knowing that we hadn't planned for it for next year. So we took some of the monies from year 1 and shifted it off. I mean, they were willing to knock it down to about $1,000 in year one. And I'm like, well, I don't want to shift it completely like that, so.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 8B is approved grant with county. When the first time I read that, I thought it said Grant County, but it's the grant with Otter Tail County.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I just had a picture of one, I figured I'd show them. Again, this is by no means anything that you haven't heard about. We just finally have the language from the county for the 2 sirens. It's in the packet. Looking through this is a boilerplate language. So much so that, you know, it says that we have to use the monies for this project, and we can't use the money for anything else. This is a reimbursement grant, so actually, the money will have already been used for what it has to be. So I say it's very much boilerplate language. This grant, again, is, the county will reimburse us that just over $32,000. The project in its totality will be just over $48,000, so about $16,000 of it is ours. One will be to relocate the siren off of that parcel that we just talked about up by the water plant. And then the one down by the school is, well, one at a time, because I don't want us to be without a siren, but we'll have them come in and put a taller pole in down there, put the system in that's got the battery backup.
Any questions? Now we're looking for a motion to approve the grant with county, Otter Tail County.
So moved.
Motion second?
Second.
Motion second, discussion, discussion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried.
Thank you. I'll get that agreement to the county, and they'll probably look at it at their next meeting as well.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Item number 9, library/council board member discussion. That was on there. Right now, we have a Councilman Ballard, that's on the library board, and there was a question, do we need a sitting councilman on the library board? And if not, do we want to have one? Lance, do you want to take the discussion away on that?
Yeah, it's just how to move forward. I mean, there's no rush in replacing Kevin. Technically, if Kevin wanted to stay on the library board, he could. But it's just kind of want a council consensus. If moving forward, we want a council member to be a part of the board. I look back on the meetings when you were appointed, and there was no really discussion saying that moving forward, we'll always have a council member on there, but just open to discussion on how to move forward in January. And there's no rush on it. Like I said, Kevin can stay as long as he needs and wants, but
I think it kind of just got carried over from when I was on the library. I was on the library board prior to council. I got on council while on the library board, stayed on. And then at some point, the library board, which has changed, requested a council member be present, at least at the meeting. And again,
At the meeting, yeah, correct.
Nobody ever
Correct.
came forward and thought we should make it a standalone portfolio.
it sounds like the library board is in favor of having a council member, and it kind of makes sense just to keep consensus or just keep information flow and everything else.
I think it's a good idea to have whoever has the library in their portfolio, I think should be the council representative to the library board. And they are a library board member. I don't think it does any good to have that person just kind of sit there and not be able to participate in the process. When I kind of brought this up last year, it was, the intent behind that was not to put Kevin Ballard on the library board. The intent behind that was to improve the communication between the council and the library board, which was at that time very bad, very poor. So I will be glad to stay on the board till the next, in January, when the next councilmen or council people come on. But I think it should be a sitting council member that's on that board and not somebody that was on the council.
So saying that, the term would end when the councilman's term ends.
Yeah, so I was thinking of that because of the statute, they have kind of a, it's like I can't remember how many, there's a term limit. I mean, you can only be on there for,
Right.
I think it's
Three
three or four terms.
Three terms.
Three terms, yeah.
So, but they're 4-year terms, so, I mean,
3-year.
I would,
3-year term.
3-year,
Three-year
the
terms.
library board is 3-year terms, so, you're looking at 9 years. I don't know if that,
Well, I can say to date, as of when I left statutorily, and at that point, I was the only person to ever sit all 3 terms,
Oh, really? Wow.
ever.
right, so, but, if it's a council person, that might be a cross the bridge when you get to it type of thing. I mean, if somebody should stay 9 years, but at the same time, that could be just as easy as shifting the portfolios within the council over that next time for a term, and then you can go back on. So I'll be at the December meeting, and then I'll also be at the January meeting, so that when Don and Shelley are sworn in at the next council meeting, or the first council meeting in January, one of them would take that spot.
Yeah, we'll discuss all the portfolios then that first weekend, or first meeting of January, so they can get shifted however you feel, so.
I would say that the council should have somebody on the library for what we've gone through the last few years that helps communication. But as far as a portfolio, if it's a 4-year term or 3-year term.
Library is 3,
Yeah, but I mean,
council is 4.
council is 4, the term is 3 years. It would also be fine to move that around within the city council. And then you would have one person with the experience there and another person getting that experience. So you'd have a better understanding of, it doesn't have to be set in stone that whoever's got that portfolio will be on the board, but start out that way. But if you've got a long term council, until this year, we haven't had a lot of turnover in the council, so it's been pretty stable. So, to pass that position around would probably serve both well.
Danielle, do you need a motion to say we want somebody from the council on the library board?
Yeah. I would say if you're
Put
gonna
together a portfolio, yeah, if it's
change
gonna
it,
be a
then I'll
portfolio.
want a motion.
Yeah.
I'd like to keep doing what we're doing. That's not a motion, that's a discussion.
You got that, Danielle?
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I move that we have an appointed council member to the library board, whether it be portfolio or not.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion second, discussion. You're clear on that, Danielle? That's all you need? Okay.
Yep, thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 10 is in-control proposal, which is in your packet. There was also another sheet that was handed out on your desk this evening when you arrived. Lance, do you want to speak to that, please?
All right, so in control, this is basically the service plan for the cybersecurity and the SCADA system for the water and wastewater. So they sent this original proposal that it was in the packet, and it was a pretty hefty increase. So I called this Jeff just to get some clarification on what's going on here. He told me, like, well, it's like everywhere else, costs are going up. When they originally put all this equipment in 2 years ago, it was kind of a guessing game on how much labor and things it would take to actually service all this. And so now they're kind of catching up and reevaluating, and that's kind of the main reason. But also, I mean, subscriptions to all these different cybersecurity things are also going up. But they did help us to try and ease into things. So this cost originally was going to be $10,187 this coming 2025, which in the past, or last year's cost was $7,464. So it was going up like 36%. Well, so in our talks, we got it structured now where it's going to be renewed on the 1st of the year rather than on October 1st. So that helps with budgeting as well. And he cut that increase in half, basically. So next year, the proposal, the cost in 2025 for this service will be that $8,825.52. So still increasing, but we're going to ease into it, and then now we can plan on 2026, it going up to that $10,187. Any
I
questions?
see up on the top, it says pricing excludes sales and use taxes. What are the use taxes?
I don't know what the use taxes are.
We don't pay
I don't know that we're
either,
paying any
so-
taxes at all. We
No.
shouldn't be,
You don't
so.
pay either?
Any questions for Lance?
Do we need to approve this?
Yeah,
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 well,
yeah.
Well, I'll move we approve this because we're forced to have it, so, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll second.
Motion second. Discussion? 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 11 is sewer budget, which was in your packet, and we also, next item, we're going to speak to water budget. Councilman Foster, Administrator Royson, Clerk Arthur, and I met regarding the water and sewer budget last week, and did a lot of discussion on this, and that's why it's presented this evening. As you know, every year expenses go up and we have to pay for them some way, and unfortunately, the only way to do it is raise the water and sewer charges. So Lance, do you want to speak to that?
Which one are we doing, sewer first?
Sewer, yep.
Danielle's going to take it away on the sewer budget.
Okay.
As soon as I find it.
Wow.
Take it away.
That's what you wanted, right?
Yeah. So I've got, I did print one out for all of you tonight too. There was one in the packet, but the one you guys have printed as little comments are included on it. Up here I have I have all the expenses that we have incurred so far in 2024, and then I have all of 2023's on there. Let's go with mine. The main, biggest thing, I kind of shaded the ones that are the big changes in the sewer, and the big thing about, the payment isn't all that big in sewer this time, but we finally know the highway 59 and 108 debt service payments for our PFA loans, and the sewer ones actually very small, so that's nice. I think it was only about $27,000 for 2025. So those are two things that are added in that were never there before. You can kind of see some of the different debt service payments that have increased. And those are actual payment amounts that I put in there, so we know year to year what the payments are gonna be. And then wages increased. We do have quite a few people that get paid out of sewer, so that's why you see it's about $11,000 increase there. And then capital outlay. Capital outlay. So I'm struggling reading, but so just, that one was the, what is that one?
Well, we have meters, water meters built in there all the time, and then that's the lift station upgrade. Both lift stations are needing an upgrade, but we're gonna do one, hopefully just one in '25 and then one in '26.
Yeah, so 40,000 of it was for the lift station, and meters, half comes out of water, half comes out of sewer, so we're gonna spend 13,000 on meters next year, so $6,500 is coming out of sewer. Then, people service contract for 2025 increased 4%. So you'll see that that's budgeted in the professional services categories. Most of those are, 55% of it comes out of the wastewater expense. Then there's some broke out in like the, down towards the phosphorus and sludge, I think it is. But, so people service, we did meet with people service employees, and we talked to them about what they felt needed to be fixed and changed, and so that's where they came up with the lift station, but they also would like to increase their annual maintenance budget, which is now at $18,000. They'd like to increase that to $30,000 a year, which we just pay a portion of that on each monthly contract. So I included that also in there. I think for the last 3 or 4 years, that's where if we did not spend all of the maintenance funds, they would send us a check back at the end of the year. If we spent over, then we had to pay those. And for the last 3 or 4 years, we have spent over. In fact, I think at the end of October, we were at 120%. So we've been over the last few years, so it is probably time for an increase. So that is built in the $30,000 maintenance. And then they also, they would like, there was some stuff with the clarifiers that needed to be fixed. And so they gave us their most important things. The most important thing was the ferric room, which we haven't gotten to that yet. Number 2 was lift station. And number 3 was this, replace the wiring for clarifiers 1 and 2. And then they also had other things that they had listed that they'd like to do, like clean the drain, inspect clarifiers 1 and 2, and also inspect clarifier number 3, replace clarifier panels, and blower inspection. And so all of that is also included in that number, that budget number. And then most of the others stayed the same until we get down to sludge hauling. Sludge hauling, we thought last year we were doing so well, and then it turned out that I think they missed billing us in time or something. I don't remember exactly what happened, but we really do spend about $55,000. So when we cut it down to $20,000 last year, that was just a dream. So we're back up to $56,000 for 2025. Ferric, the 60,000, I increased, 160,000, I increased that 10,000 because ferric always goes up, the chemical that they put in. That seems to have been increasing. Well, you can see, we went from 90,000 in '23, budgeted 150,000 in '24, and now I'm still increasing it in 2025. And then the ferric, the stuff that they want to replace in the ferric room is the conduit in the ferric room, and that's $28,000. And then the ferric pump, which is $4,000, the exhaust fan, which is $7,000, and the load lines, which are $1,500. So all of that is built into that number too. So all those expenses totaled up gives you a $1.9 million sewer budget. Any questions on the expenses?
You guys are all familiar with the good news and the bad news. Which do you want first? Well, you got the good news first. Because when you go back to the capital outlays, we got a big, huge grant for that. So with this street project going on, most of that is paid for with this grant. When we get to the water side of things, we're paying for that because we don't have a grant, so you're going to see a big increase in the capital outlays.
Yes.
Do we have the city have the contract with the sludge hauling with Super Septic, or is that through People Service have the contract?
We're paying, we pay them directly, so
But I don't think we have an actual contract with them.
it's just a service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they bill us.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Not a whole lot changed in the revenues this year. I did increase the leachate a little bit because last year I was very conservative and guesstimated low just to be on the safe side. And now I'm feeling a little bit more confident and I increased that a little bit. And then So the sewer sales, we have to kind of back into to cover all of our sewer expenses. So that's the number I need in sales to cover the expenses that we're going to have in 2025, or that we are budgeting for. And on that note, do we want to talk sewer rates, or do we want to go to water now?
Well, how would you rather do it? What's cleaner for you?
Let's do the sewer rates while we're on the sewer.
Yeah. Make Lance scramble a little.
What you want?
Yep, that's what I want. So this has the 2024, what we are paying, or what we are charging now for sewer rates, and then the projected next 5 years. So for 2025, for 2024, we are at $16 for the base rate and $4.85 per 1,000 gallons for the flow. That is.
Flow is determined by the water usage. So for your residents, if you're using 3,000 gallons a month, it's 3 times 4.
Yeah, $4.85.
$4.85.
So, and that's across the board for residential, commercial, and then industrial, wastewater treatment, or no, sorry. Turkey Plant pays a base rate of $88,000 a month. We did not increase that this year. Last year we had increased it 7,000, so just gonna let it ride this year. So that's their base rate, but then they also do pay the flow amount too. So this year, we're suggesting going from 16 for the base rate a month to $17 for the base rate, and then the flow rate will be $5.85, so a dollar increase in the flow rate for residential, commercial, and then industrial also. On the side here, under step 2, you can see the total monthly gallons that we average. I averaged them out, that we go through a month. In top one is residential, second one down would be commercial, and then if we went further down, you'd see the industrial. And then I enter in how many different connections we have to figure out all this wonderful math stuff. And it does all these wonderful calculations. And then Lance can go to the next page. And it gives me this, then I plug in the budget where I want the budget numbers to come in, and it gives me these wonderful graphs. Do you want to go over to? This is where I put the budget numbers in, and then, so the 2024 is what we budgeted, 2025 is what we're talking about budgeting, and then 2026, I just increased a 3% increase on all operating expenses, and just kind of went forward from there. And so now we can go to this one, and then you want to move over so we can see the whole graph. Yeah. So if we increase the rates, or if we didn't increase the rates, we would be that peachy orangey color where we're not meeting our expenses, which is the red dotted line. We are not meeting our expenses. We are not making enough. We are not covering our expenses, and that kind of just stays stagnant the whole next 5 years. If we do go with these new rates that we're suggesting, you can see the dark blue line. At least for 2025, we will meet close to the expenses, and then in 2026, it looks like we're going to start creeping up a little bit. So, of course, every year we reevaluate and everything, but you can see the actual dollar amounts below if you stayed with each scenario there. And then on this side, it kind of gives you the graph where we'd like to, in the sewer, there's a lot of big expenses, so we like to keep about $100,000 in there at all times.
Which we do not have right now.
We do not have.
So the yellowish line is whatever our current situation with the current rates, and if we continue with that, it'll show you how far we're going to go into farther. As we go into farther into debt, that's the line. The dark blue line is with the new rates, and that will put us into a positive territory in 2026.
Yep.
And then the dotted line is the expenses going forward.
Yep. So any questions on?
Any questions on the budget?
Yep.
Just on the sewer budget.
Sewer side.
Yeah. You're looking to make a motion on this one right now, before we go on to the water? Because they're two separate items.
Yep, we can go,
Well, this will all be approved at the next meeting, right?
well, if you want to wait, we can.
Or we can do it tonight, too.
Yeah.
Can I just say that in this resolution that's presented to pass, that in the sewer rate portion of that, the flow rate has not changed for the industrial customers? It's at 485?
Okay.
Is that supposed to?
No, the flow rate,
That's supposed to change.
that increases.
Yep.
Right, but in the resolution, it has not.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So that's a typo. 585. Okay, so sewer is done. We can move on to water now.
So we don't want to make a motion on this tonight?
Question, what's the percent increase? I can't see that.
Let's talk about the whole water and sewer, and we'll talk about the whole total increase, rather than trying to, because the total
Yeah.
rate
Kinda-
increase is gonna be about 12.8%, but that's water and sewer combined. So if we can look at the water side now and get a full picture of everything.
And we'll
and then
talk
the-
about
and then the-
average
the
bills and
entire-
everything.
Yeah, the entire
Yeah, yeah.
bill increase would be nice to know, I think.
So on to water now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this budget is not as complex as the last one, but basic, same setup. I have 23 and 24 up here, and then the 2025 budget. Revenues, very similar to last year. I think there was just a slight, which it's built into the contract, but a slight increase in water tower rent. And then I had to back into the sales to cover the water expenses. The big one that you'll see here is in the debt service for the water, for the Highway 59 and 108 principal payment alone, that's 102,000. And then the interest payment is 64,000. So that's a huge increase compared to sewer, for one, in debt service. And there was no grants for the water side, so that's why the payment is much, much bigger. Some increases in wages again. People service also affects the water budget, 4% increase there, plus that $30,000 for their maintenance budget. You can see that we have the cybersecurity annual fees built into this. 20% comes out of the water budget, the 80% comes out of the sewer budget. This is still putting away the plan for $20,000 towards water tower, whatever we'll need to do to the water tower in the future. And then we have issues with well 15 for the last year and a half, I would say. They've been talking about it. So last year we put, we were gonna put, 2024, we were gonna put 20,000 if we didn't spend it aside for well rehab in the future. And then he brings a bill for 77,000 for worst case scenario for well 15, and we don't know what the scenario is going to be for sure. That's if we have to replace everything from pumps, everything. We're hoping it's only gonna be right around the $40,000 price range, but I did include the entire 77,000 in there just to be on the safe side, because as you can see in 2023, we had to rehab 2 wells, yeah, that we were not counting on. So hopefully that won't happen again. I don't think there's any too major stuff, more meters. Brian, in 2024, we put 15,000 in the budget to replace 2 Iowa hydrants, and then the last time I talked to him, he said he had 4 total he thought he had to replace, and you can get 2 replaced for about $15,000. So with this $15,000, we should be able to replace the 4 remaining. that he thinks are out there. And then he just needs another iPad, because they mark all of their curb stops, they do all kinds of fun stuff. They do their meter reading with an iPad now. So it gets a lot more use and a lot more banged up, unfortunately. And then you'll see that there's the 13,000, which half of it is for the water meters. And we just actually read today, and there's 3 meters that didn't read this month that read last month. So that's 3 more meters that we're gonna have to replace. And that's about how it is every single month. We find anywhere from 3 to 5 new meters that aren't reading, not new, but meters that were reading last month that don't read this month. So we are continuously replacing meters. So that's the water budget. Any questions on any of those expenses? So should we go to rates?
Yep.
2024 rates for water were $16 for the base rate, and then we charge it 81 cents on top of that, and that's to pay, we have to pay the state of Minnesota for each connection in the city quarterly. So that's what the 81 cents covers. And then it was $4? Is that what it is? And four?
Flow rate?
Yep.
It is $4 right now, yeah.
Okay. So it's $4 in 2024. Ooh.
Oops, that's too big.
I used to have nice young eyes. In 2025, we're suggesting going up $1 in the base rate from $16.81 to $17.81, and then up 50 cents in the flow rate. Those are the same water sewer are for residential, commercial, and industrial. Those all stay the same. So if you want to go to
It comes out to about $11 increase in your water and sewer bill for a residential customer.
For household.
go to the
And this is what
There's the next one.
we talked about at this meeting,
graph, I think.
but we also looked at these a year ago when we did the 2024 budget, knowing what was going on with the street projects and all of this, so, and we knew that these things were gonna have to increase to meet our expenses. So this was not determined just at the last meeting, but also at least a year in advance.
So one thing the water budget has going for it, that we had a very healthy balance coming into it. It was over 400,000 at the beginning of 2024. And so with the way that we are suggesting the rates go for the next 5 years, we will be, you can see that we are not covering the expenses, but we are getting closer than we would be if we stayed at the same rates. And so we will be using up some of that surplus, yeah. And so if we stay at the same rates, you can see the nosedive we take rather quickly. We try to keep 50,000 minimum in this one. And then if we go with the rates we're suggesting now, you can see that it's more of a gradual come down, so it doesn't look quite so scary.
While we're talking of rates, Lance, do you have that slide with the rate study throughout Minnesota, where we are?
Yeah, this is the 2024 rates, so we're sitting right here in 2024, which is what, there's a list of what, 30 here, we're at 11. So the proposed increase would be basically $11 a month more on the average utility bill, which would put us right down in here. right in that 16, 17 range, but that's not factoring in, I'm sure all these are going to increase as well. I mean, all the other towns, I'm sure, are increasing for 25 as well, so.
These are not every city in Minnesota. These are the cities that decided to participate in the rate study.
And similar to our size, or serving under 5,000 residents anyway.
Well, like Danielle said, we don't have to act on this tonight. We can, or we can wait till next meeting, but nothing is going to change.
Right.
So what's the average increase for a family?
$11.
What percent?
12.8%.
Say again?
12.8%, I think, is the.
What are your wishes, council? I say nothing's going to change next month.
So we need to approve the budget, these two budgets, or just this resolution?
All three.
Yep.
We got to
The
approve.
budgets, and then the resolution will cover the rate
Rate increase.
increases.
You want to approve the sewer and water budgets?
I'll move we approve the water and sewer budgets.
Can we do that in both? What? Okay.
I'll second.
Motion second. Discussion. 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Then let's jump down to item number 15, the rate resolution number 2024-18, which is in your packet. And those are the rate increases we just talked about. Is there a motion to approve that resolution?
I move to adopt resolution 2024-18 with the correction of that flow amount in the sewer rates.
A second.
Motion second. Discussion. 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Let's go back up to item number 13, general budget discussion. We put that in the packet this evening. We are not going to, this is just an FYI at this point. We'll make that decision to approve it at our December 10th meeting, meaning that between now and then, we can decrease the budget, but we cannot increase it. And did you have a couple proposals to decrease it?
Well, Lance and I put our heads together, and so this is where we were at last time I think that's where we were last time we talked about it. And this is with 75,000 out of reserves
100,000 from liquor store like we've done
in the
for
last.
several years.
Yep. And so I was crunching numbers earlier today, and if we want to get it lower, I do feel comfortable using another 80,000 of reserves if you would like to.
Up to.
Yes, so, yeah, an additional, yeah. So that would get us under the double digits.
So how much of the total reserve, what's the total reserve money we'd use?
155, I believe.
Yeah.
I think we figured out the other day that every 25,000 we took out of reserves brought it down 2%, right?
I can't recall myself.
Yeah, can't either.
Yeah, about right. That's about right.
So using an additional 80,000 would bring the rate increase to what?
9.68.
9.68.
overall.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. Say we aren't going to act on this tonight, but just for discussion.
And what position does that leave us in with the reserves?
I'll still have, I mean, I figured in like the 6-month operating expenses and all the money that we will set aside to put in investments for 2024 still, and that still leaves me safely between $300,000 and $400,000. And that's, yeah, conservative guesstimate. You're only, yeah. You're only 1 month away from or 1 day away from a catastrophe, right? But 1 day away from no catastrophes too, I guess.
Any more discussion on this item tonight? If not, we'll move on.
Yeah, and I printed off copies for you all, so you can take them home and study all the numbers. If you have questions,
If I call Steve for clarification.
you go ahead and call Steve. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Item number 14, Christmas Eve City Hall hours. Danielle, are you speaking to that?
Yes. So in the past, we have closed early on Christmas Eve to allow staff that meet with family and stuff to travel or whatever. I think Christmas Eve this year is on a Tuesday. Whatever time we do close the offices, people just take their vacation time or don't get paid for the rest of those. So the city doesn't give it to them paid. It's just closing early. And so I know in the past we've closed it around noon. So I don't know if you guys want to consider that. We could do 12:30. That would give us a full 5 hours, I guess, of working if we worked 7:30 to 12:30. I've already got that day off, so I don't.
Way to plan.
How about you, Lance?
How does all the rest of the staff feel about it? Did they say anything? Did they like the rounded hour, or would they like to leave at noon?
I think they would like to leave at noon.
Okay.
You need a motion for that?
Yes, please.
I make a motion that City Hall closes, or city non-essential staff that can close early close.
Non-essential.
No, I don't mean that in a bad way, but we're not letting all the police go home at noon.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Item number 16, designate polling place resolution number 2024-19, which is in the packet. Danielle, you're up again, my goodness.
Yes, I know. Whew. So I have to pass this every year, even though next year's not an election year, designating here as the polling place. So
Is that in case there was a special election or what?
Must be.
I don't know, states came up with that great idea, so I have to do it, and then the school can designate this as their election spot, and then we're done for this year.
I'll move we adopt resolution 2024-19.
Second.
Motion second, discussion, discussion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Item number 17, administrator report, Lance.
Since the last meeting, attended an EDC meeting. Attended a Department head meeting, attended the Lakes Country Service Cooperative Member Cities Networking Luncheon hosted by City of Dilworth. Met with People Service and went through the water sewer budgets. Met with the Budget Committee and discussed the water sewer budgets along with the general budget along with some general budget discussion. Participated with the interview committee to conduct interviews for the open library director position. Met with Northland Securities and Kutak Rock about the 24-25 project financing. Attended the Otter Tail County Housing Convening. Met with Apex Engineering, Brown Intertech, and OTC representatives about the contaminated soil at Pinewood Estates. Met with Trinity Church representatives about the future use and maintenance of their parking lot. Met with Bob and Brian and discussed the capital improvement plan for the city streets and infrastructure. And attended a planning commission meeting. Any questions?
Thank you.
The parking lot, church park, what's,
Well, we met with Eric and Charlie Blixt. There's just a lot of city use for that parking lot, so we've kind of helped maintain that parking lot in the past by like striping it, and I think we even did some crack sealing with them at some point. They just want a more formal agreement on maintenance for that parking lot, since the city does use it for the park and for the pool and things like that, so we're just in discussions on
okay,
how to move forward with that.
all
so.
right.
Any other questions for Lance? If not, thank you. Item number 18, Mayor Report. A few items in the last couple of weeks. Attended the November 18th Water and Sewer Budget Meeting with Lance, Danielle, and Councilman Foster. November 21st, conversations with the mayor at the library. Also that same day, we had a Zoom meeting regarding Otter Tail County Housing Convening Meeting here at City Hall. I attended that meeting with Administrator Roysam regarding the Trinity Church parking lot, and then yesterday, Administrator Roysam and I met to plan the agenda for this evening's meeting. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, the only item we didn't cover was item number 5, utility billing dispute, Roger Slesky. That was on the agenda on the 12th of November, and he postponed it at this time to move it up to today, but there's nobody here to represent that at this evening's meeting, so there'll be no action. So seeing no other business, is there a motion to adjourn? Second? Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.